Hi, my name is Sebastian Cleet, and together with my partner, William Coleman, we will be discussing one of the most important developments in IoT networking, which is the integration of low power wide area networks, or LPWAN, with 5G. So, before we dive into the security aspects, let's talk about what LPWAN actually is. LPWAN is designed for applications that require low power and long range connectivity, as I said, and it is usually ideal for devices like smart meters, industrial sensors, and remote environmental monitoring systems, where battery life is a top priority. However, LPWAN networks have low data rates, weak encryption, and limited scalability. 5G, on the other hand, offers high speed, low latency connectivity, as I said, and makes it a perfect choice for real time applications such as autonomous vehicles, healthcare monitoring, and industrial automation. The downside of this is that 5G consumes significantly more power, which makes it impractical for energy limited IoT devices. But by combining LPWAN and 5G, we are able to get the best of both worlds. LPWAN is able to handle the long range, energy efficient connectivity, while 5G enables high speed data transfer and large scale connectivity. IoT is expanding rapidly, with over 25 billion devices expected by 2025. These connected devices play a critical role in industries like smart cities, healthcare, and industrial automation, but they require reliable, scalable connectivity. LPWAN is able to offer an energy efficient solution, making it ideal for low power IoT applications. However, it has significant limitations, such as low data rates, weak security, or limited scalability. On the other hand, 5G is able to handle massive device connectivity, but it consumes way too much power and it requires costly infrastructure deployment. As I said, by combining these, we can make a more balanced IoT network where LPWAN manages energy efficient long range connectivity, while 5G ensures fast, secure data transmission. However, as mentioned, this introduces security risks that must be addressed before widespread adoption. LPWAN definitely has its own major security challenges, even though it has many benefits. Some of these challenges are that due to limited computing resources in IoT devices, it can make strong encryption and authentication difficult to implement. Some of the biggest threats that it can face would be jamming attacks, because LPWAN operates on unlicensed frequency bands, which make it vulnerable to intentional radio signal interference that can block communications. It also has the threat of replay attacks, that because it lacks advanced authentication protocols, an attacker is able to capture a legitimate data packet and resend it later, which tricks the system into accepting false data. And lastly, that I can mention is that it has weak authentication. Many LPWAN networks do not require strong device authentication, which allows attackers to impersonate legitimate devices and gain network access, which is a big problem. 5G also has its own security challenges. Even though it introduces stronger security protocols than previous mobile networks, its high connectivity and scalability also increase security risks. Risks such as with its expanded attack surface. With billions of connected devices, each new device introduces a potential attack entry point. If even one weakly secured IoT device is hacked, it could compromise the entire network. There's also network slicing vulnerabilities. 5G enables network slicing, which allows multiple virtual networks to operate on the same physical infrastructure. However, if one slice is compromised, an attacker might move laterally across the slices, which gives them unauthorized access to other network segments. There's also data privacy risks. IoT devices collect massive amounts of personal data, and if authentication mechanisms fail, device identities could be stolen, which leads to large scale identity fraud or unauthorized network access as well. So, while integrating LPWAN with 5G could provide many benefits, it can also introduce several major security challenges if not done correctly. There could be authentication issues. LPWAN devices rely on lightweight authentication protocols due to their limited processing powers. And in contrast, 5G networks use strong cryptographic authentication. Bridging these two different security approaches is difficult, and if not done correctly, could introduce a lot of risk. There's a lot of in, there's interoperability problems. LPWAN and 5G operate on different architectures, and currently there is no universal security standard for their integration. This lack of standardization creates security loopholes that attackers could potentially exploit. There's also data protection concerns. Many LPWAN devices transmit unencrypted or weakly encrypted data, and when these networks connect to 5G, poorly secured data could be intercepted before it reaches the 5G backbone. Addressing these challenges is important because it requires hybrid security frameworks that ensure seamless yet secure integration between LPWAN and 5G networks. To continue, there's major cyber threats that they're vulnerable to, that LPWAN 5G networks are vulnerable to, such as man-in-the-middle attacks. If LPWAN data is not encrypted, an attacker can intercept and modify messages before they reach the 5G networks, which could lead to false sensor readings or unauthorized control over IoT devices. There's also DOS attacks. LPWAN networks have limited processing power, and if an attacker floods a gateway with excessive traffic, this can overload the system, which disrupts connectivity and prevents legitimate devices from transmitting data. There's also eavesdropping and data privacy issues. Many LPWAN transmissions lack encryption, making them vulnerable to interception. And if sensitive data, such as medical records or industrial process data, is compromised, then this can be used for cyber espionage, identity theft, or even system manipulation. Without strong security measures, these threats could compromise the integrity and reliability of LPWAN 5G networks. Since LPWAN devices have low power and limited computing resources, traditional encryption methods are too resource intensive. Instead, researchers have been developing lightweight cryptographic solutions. Solutions such as elliptic curve cryptography. This is a modern encryption technique that provides strong security while using minimal processing power, which makes it ideal for low power IoT devices. There's also AES 128 encryption. LoRaWAN networks use AES 128 encryption to secure communications between devices and gateways. In addition to encryption, secure authentication methods are also necessary. Methods such as mutual authentication. Before transmitting data, both the IoT device and the network must verify each other's identities to prevent any unauthorized access. There should also be pre-shared keys. This is a simpler method where devices store static security keys to authenticate connections, but can be less secure than dynamic encryption methods. Finally, firmware over-the-air updates are crucial because IoT devices operate in the field for years without physical access. And remote updates allow security patches to be installed automatically, which reduce vulnerabilities. 5G networks include advanced security mechanisms that LPWAN networks can leverage to improve overall protection, such as AI-based threat detection. Machine learning algorithms can continuously analyze network traffic, identify anomalies that could indicate cyber attacks, and if suspicious activity is detected, then AI can automatically isolate the compromised device before they can cause any harm. There's also blockchain for security identity management, or for secure identity management. Blockchain technology enables decentralized authentication, which means that IoT devices no longer need to rely on centralized databases, which are often the target of cyber attacks. Instead, each device has a cryptographic identity stored in a blockchain, which makes it nearly impossible for attackers to manipulate device authentication records. By integrating AI and blockchain-based security mechanisms, we can significantly enhance LPWAN 5G network security. Since LPWAN and 5G use different security protocols, researchers have proposed several hybrid security frameworks to ensure seamless protection. There are hybrid security models where a layered approach where LPWAN devices use lightweight encryption, while 5G handles complex cryptographic functions, which ensures efficient yet strong security. There is trust-based authentication instead of static security keys. Each IoT device is assigned to a trust score based on its behavior. Devices that exhibit suspicious activity, such as repeated failed login attempts, can be flagged or blocked automatically. There's also AI-driven security mechanism that by integrating machine learning, as I had mentioned in the previous slide, networks can dynamically detect and respond to cyber threats in real time without needing human intervention. To understand how LPWAN 5G network is being improved, let's look at some recent research studies and real-world case studies. At the University of Oulu, they had a 5G test network, and in this research project in Finland, they built a real-world test environment to examine security vulnerabilities in LPWAN 5G integration. This study found that weak authentication in LPWAN could allow attackers to inject false data into 5G networks, which shows the need for stronger encryption mechanisms. Researchers have also tested blockchain for securing IoT authentication. And as I had mentioned, instead of relying on the centralized authentication databases, blockchain will be able to enable a decentralized identity management system that is tamper-proof and resistant to hacking. There's also AI-driven IDS that some research groups are training AI models to monitor LPWAN 5G networks and detect anomalous behavior in real time. And so if a device suddenly starts to send abnormal amounts of data, the AI can flag it for review or block it automatically. These studies demonstrate that new security technologies are emerging to address LPWAN 5G vulnerabilities. However, there's still more work that needs to be done to ensure full-scale deployment that is secure and resilient. While existing security solutions are improving LPWAN 5G integration, future research is needed in three key areas. Traditional security approaches rely on predefined rules, which can become outdated as cyber threats evolve. AI-driven security can continuously adapt to detect new attack patterns and automatically respond to threats in real time. There's also current encryption methods such as RSA and ECC, which may become obsolete when quantum computing advances. Researchers are now developing post-quantum cryptographic techniques that will remain secure even against quantum-based cyber attacks. And right now, there is no universal security standard for LPWAN 5G network, as I had said. Organizations like IE3GPP and ITU are all working to create a standardized security protocol that will ensure all IoT devices follow a universal security framework. By focusing on these future research areas, we can ensure that LPWAN 5G networks remain secure, adaptable, and resilient against emerging cyber threats. As LPWAN 5G integration advances, industries are already adopting these technologies while addressing security concerns. Cities are deploying LPWAN 5G networks for traffic monitoring, environmental sensors, and public safety applications. However, these systems must be secured against cyber attacks to prevent manipulation of critical infrastructure, such as traffic lights and emergency response systems. Hospitals and medical facilities use LPWAN for wearable health sensors and 5G for real-time patient data transmission. If these systems are not properly secured, patient health records could be intercepted or manipulated, leading to serious privacy violations. Factories are implementing predictive maintenance and automated robots that rely on LPWAN 5G connectivity. A cyber attack on these networks could shut down entire production lines, resulting in major financial losses and security and safety risks. As these industries move forward, stronger security measures must be implemented to protect critical data and infrastructure. Moving forward, global security standards must be developed to ensure LPWAN 5G integration. AI blockchain and quantum safe cryptographic solutions will be essential to securing future IoT networks.
This is William Coleman, and I am presenting the second half of our project. This is integrating a LP low power wide area LPWAN technologies with 5G networks. We start here with foundational principles that guide development of security solutions in this domain. First, we're going to balance security with energy consumption, since LP WAN devices operate under strict power constraints. Second, shrewd security requires end-to-end protection from sensor to cloud, limiting any weak points in the chain. Third, effective security employs a layered approach, combining hardware, software, and network controls to create defense in depth. Finally, we must consider the trade-offs between distributed security models that push controls to end points versus centralized models that handle security at gateway points. These principles underpin all the security approach that we're going to be checking out today. So, LPWAN, I don't know how you pronounce it, but LPWAN, we'll call that. Technologies face 4 categories of vulnerabilities: key management issues, which stem from limited or non-existent key rotation and potentially accessible key storage. RF, or if I'm not mistaken, is radio frequency vulnerabilities, include signal jamming, replay attacks, and traffic analysis, which are all facilitated by wireless transmission mediums. Physical security concerns arise because devices are typically inaccessible, unmonitored locations with limited tamper resistance, and often accessible debug ports. And finally, each protocol also brings unique vulnerabilities. Low power, what's it? LORAWAN? I always forget these things it's like low power. I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Whoa. I'm thinking it was said earlier in the presentation. But LoRaWAN has joint procedure issues. Sigfox's limited downlink capabilities constrain security updates, and NB-IoT faces identity exposure risks. These vulnerabilities create the foundation of security challenges that must be addressed in 5G integration. 5G implements a multi-layered security architecture with 4 primary components. User authentication, for one, which employs mutual verification between device and network using enhanced subscriber privacy and robust protocols like 5G, aka the radio interface, provides a strong encryption and unlike previous generations, integrity protection for user data. You have core network security, which includes function authentication, edge protection, and comprehensive controls within the service architecture. And then network slicing security, which creates isolated domains for different use cases with slice-specific authentication and cross-slice protection. This sophisticated architecture contrasts sharply with LP-WAN's simpler security models, creating both opportunities and challenges for integration. And this table highlights 5 critical security compatibilities between LP-WAN and 5G. Authentication, which represents perhaps the largest gap. LP-WAN uses a lightweight, often static approaches, while 5G implements complex mutual authentication, creating a processing power challenge. Key management as well, it differs fundamentally, with LP-WAN using infrequent updates versus 5G's regular rotation, causing synchronization difficulties. Another issue is encryption capabilities, which vary substantially from basic LP-WAN algorithms to advanced 5G techniques, creating security inconsistencies. And identity protection features as well are limited in LP-WAN, but comprehensive in 5G, leading to identity mapping complications. And the last incompatibility is overall protocol complexity, which differs dramatically, with LP-WAN optimized for efficiency, while 5G provides comprehensive features resulting in translation overhead. These incompatibilities form the core technical challenges for integration of 5G into LP-WAN. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Integration expands the attack surface across 5 key areas. Device level vectors, which include firmware exploitation, physical tampering, and impersonation attacks, particularly targeting constrained LP-WAN devices. Gateways become critical vulnerability points as they bridge technologies, facing protocol translation attacks, authentication, bypass, and privilege escalation attempts. Network protocol attacks as well, which exploit cross-protocol weaknesses, attempt security downgrades, and employ message forgery. And then back-end systems as well. They face API vulnerabilities, configuration errors, and access control weaknesses across technology boundaries. Finally, the transition points between technologies, highlighted as highest risk, so that we know, face specific challenges with authentication bridging, encryption boundaries, and trust domain crossings. Understanding these expanded attack surface is essential for comprehensive security planning regarding integrating these 5G networks. As a case example is a smart city security. This is a smart city lighting scenario. It illustrates real-world security challenges. The system connects thousands of LP-WAN streetlights to a 5G management backbone with multi-tenant infrastructure. Researchers have identified several potential vulnerabilities: gateway authentication bypass exploiting LP-WAN weaknesses, traffic analysis revealing control patterns, firmware update interception points, and cross-domain privilege escalation paths. These vulnerabilities enable concerning scenarios, including service disruption affecting public safety, infrastructure data breaches, unauthorized lighting control, and lateral movement to other city systems. Impacts span public safety, privacy, operations, broader infrastructure securities. This example demonstrates why resolving security challenges in LP-WAN 5G integration has significant real-world implications beyond technical considerations. Next, we go on to some conceptual security frameworks for LPWAN 5G after seeing the example prior. Several conceptual frameworks address integration security challenges. Security gateway approaches focus on boundary enforcement between domains, providing translation services and targeted anomaly detection. Then there's protocol translation mechanisms, which include a credential mapping between different authentication systems, state maintenance for security context in either transparent or proxy operational modes. And then we have key management frameworks, which propose hierarchical distribution systems where stronger 5G keys generate derived keys for LPWAN devices using either centralized or distributed trust models. Finally, cross-technology trust models, which include a federated authentication maintaining separate but connected domains, bridged trust architectures with explicit relationships, and identity mapping services translating between systems. These frameworks represent different approaches to fundamental security challenges with distinct advantages for each scenario, or just for different scenarios. And then we go into lightweight cryptography approaches. Well, lightweight cryptography, it enables security with LPWAN constraints. ECC proves particularly valuable by providing security equivalent to RSA with dramatically smaller keys to 56-bit. ECC versus 3072-bit RSA, making asymmetric cryptography viable on constrained devices. Common curves include curve 25519 and SCCP 256R1. Balancing security with efficiency. AES 128 remains a standard symmetric algorithm with optimizations including hardware acceleration, partial state processing, and in some cases reduced rounds. Performance metrics typically show energy consumption of 0.7 to 10 microjoules per encrypted bit, processing times of 0.5 to 50 milliseconds, and memory requirements of 1 to 8 kilobytes. Some ongoing research focuses in this area are on ultra lightweight ciphers like Present and Simon, specialized stream ciphers, and optimized handshakes that minimize energy and bandwidth usage. AES one. Going forward. Well, authentication models address the challenge of establishing trust between disparate systems. We're going into authentication models, by the way. Mutual authentication ensures bidirectional verification through challenge response mechanisms with sequence-based and group approaches, improving efficiency. Authentication implement a gateway-based credential translation where capable components handle complex operations for constrained devices with security level adaptation and caching, optimizing performance. Token approaches offer lower overhead but limited validation, while certificates provide more complete verification at higher cost, with hybrid models emerging to balance these factors. Cross-domain credential management remains challenging, a particularly secure distribution to constrained devices. Revocation across technology boundaries and lifecycle management across heterogeneous environments. These models represent different approaches to establishing trust between entities with vastly different capabilities and security requirements. You can go on to firmware security. Firmware security is critical since compromised firmware undermines all other protections. Distribution mechanisms and bandwidth constrained environments typically use different updates, transmitting only changed code portions, block level verification allowing incremental validation, and either scheduled or on-demand delivery models. Verification on constrained devices, they employ lightweight signature techniques, hash chaining for lower computational requirements, and hardware assistance where available. And here are some of the rollback strategies, which rollback protection strategies. Well, in general, rollback protection, it prevents downgrade attacks through version enforcement. They secure encounters and timestamp validation. And some research, which is currently continuing, are on attestation protocols proving software integrity for remote systems, chain of trust establishment from hardware to applications, and recovery mechanisms preventing device bricking after failed updates. These field approaches collectively maintain software integrity across diverse devices with varied capabilities. I read from those. AI and machine learning security applications. AI and machine learning, they provide adaptive security for integrated networks. They traffic analysis techniques. They develop behavioral profiles of devices to recognize anomalies using communication fingerprinting and flow pattern monitoring. IoT-specific detection adapts unique network characteristics through rate-based monitoring, command sequence analysis, and payload pattern examination. Architectural approaches include edge deployment for low latency, but constrained models, fog computing at gateways with more resources, and cloud-based analysis with comprehensive capabilities, higher latency. Some current research explores transfer learning to adapt models with minimal retraining, federated approaches, building collective intelligence while maintaining data locality. Explainable AI for understandable security decisions and universal resistance preventing detection system manipulation. A few of these adaptive approaches complement traditional rule-based protection with evolving security capabilities. You can go into some blockchain concepts for device security. Blockchain offers innovative approaches to identify challenges in heterogeneous networks, like similar, actually different. Yeah, heterogeneous networks. Distributed ledgers provide tamper-evident identity records verifiable across boundaries, functioning as decentralized certificate authorities, independent of single trusted entities with smart contracts enforcing complex policies without centralized infrastructure. Lightweight approaches for IoT include DAG structures, eliminating sequential validation, reduced consensus requirements for controlled environments, and proxy validation enabling constrained device participation. Some identity models include self-sovereign approaches where devices control their identity claims, attribute-based access control for fine-grained security, and decentralized identity identifiers for distributed management. And some research focus areas include scalability for billions of devices, energy efficient consensus mechanisms, and hybrid PKI blockchain architectures, as well as recoverable identity frameworks. Now, these approaches address distributed trust challenges that are inherent in cross technology integration, which is what we are trying to at least research. Some research methodologies. We're going to go over some research and testing in LPWAN 5G security. So research methodologies systemically evaluate security solutions for integrated networks. Formal verification mathematically proves security properties. Protocol analysis examines information flows and trust assumptions. Attack simulation would test defenses, and deployments would study validate approaches in operational environments. When it comes to evaluation frameworks, they include STRIDE threat modeling, which categorizes attack types, CVSS scoring, which scores quantifying vulnerability severity, and NIST, which is a cybersecurity framework, which provides a structured assessment and IoT-specific metrics addressing unique device characteristics. And We can talk about some security performance analysis, which quantifies impact on energy consumption, latency, bandwidth, usage, and memory requirements relative to security benefits. Some current findings validate optimized cryptography viability on constrained platforms. They demonstrate context aware security advantages, quantify hardware acceleration benefits, and identify persistent cross domain authentication challenges requiring further research. These few approaches to bridge theoretical models and practical deployable solutions. Or they do. They bridge it. Yeah. We're going to look at some standardization landscape. Standards development continues across multiple organizations, shaping LPWAN 5G security integration. 3GPP has incorporated IoT security enhancements in Release 17, developed lightweight authentication frameworks, and created optimized security profiles for constrained environments. IETF working groups address lightweight authenticated key exchange, Lake, secure update mechanisms, SUIT, and authorization for constrained environments, ACE. IEEE efforts include security amendments to 802.15.4-4Z standards, lattice-based cryptography for post-quantum security, and security for virtualized network environments. Industry collaborations complement formal standardization with LoRa Alliance security committees, GSMA IoT security guidelines, and ETSI cybersecurity standards. This evolving standards landscape will significantly influence integration approaches, potentially moving from today's fragmented solution towards more unified, interoperable security frameworks addressing cross-technology challenges. In conclusion, you ask why integrate LPWAN with you might ask, why integrate LPWAN with 5G? It's that combining LPWAN's energy efficiency and long range with 5G's high speed and low latency creates a more scalable IoT network. Some challenges, though, are authentication issues, cyber threats, and interoperable risks. Some existing security solutions are lightweight cryptography, AI-based threat detection, and blockchain authentication. Some future research directions are quantum safe cryptography, which are securing a LPWAN 5G against future quantum computing threats, which is on the rise. Those computers are pretty cool. AI-driven adaptive security, which is real-time automated detection and response to cyber attacks, and global standardization effects, establishing universal security policies for LPWAN 5G. This concludes the presentation. And here's our bibliography. Thank you for listening. Have a good night or good morning.